Okay, good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. We are back another Monday night. We thank you for joining us, and we are here, ready and willing and able. And so we will get started as we normally do, which is to introduce ourselves and say what we are grateful for. So I am Theodora Carter, otherwise known in some spaces as Coach Theo. I am a certified life and career coach and an HR consultant, and I am passionate about helping women live intentionally and focus on what it is that they are looking to do and to achieve to live the life that they value and deserve. And I am grateful for another Monday. I'm grateful to be here. I am grateful that I just got to celebrate a little bit with my sis. Her birthday is coming up, one of my sisters in Christ. And I'm just excited. I'm excited for what this month holds and what we are about to embark on in 2026.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Regina. Regina Booker, owner of Season and Fabulous. We're women of 50 plus not want to get stuck, or if you are stuck, maybe not stuck, but in that fork in the road where your career, uh, maybe you don't want to. You're thinking about your career or your dreams, your hopes, or you're not where you want to be, or empty nester, or where it's never too late to go after your hopes, your dreams, your desires. And we talk about that and help you get to that place. And I am grateful for, again, another Monday, the night to be here. And actually, just to see in Charlotte, North Carolina, believe it or not, little snow flurries.
It,
I was really
it was
tripping when I said I went outside. I was like, oh, okay.
it was so funny because I
Yeah,
was at work and one of my coworkers got so excited and I was like, "What snow?"
but it was the temperature actually really dropped from the time I
Yeah.
left work to I decided to go grab some food before we started, which was like I left work at 3. I went back out at 6, and the temperature dropped tremendously. I was like, oh my god. And
Same thing in New
I
York.
thought they were just really tripping, saying it was snow. And I was like, it's not no snow outside. No, true enough, when I went outside, my car was a little bit of flurries
Oh,
covered.
you had some dusting? You had a dusting?
Yeah, I did, really, seriously. I thought they were like really just saying something. I was like, there ain't no snow out there.
It
It
tickles
really
me.
was.
It really does because the whole state closes down.
Yeah, but it melted. But it was a little. It just felt a little like holiday-ish. So it was
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's a little early though,
yeah.
but it's cool.
But across the nation, it's been snowing. My mom's state is snow. So
Yeah,
it's a cold front going across. So
yeah. It was cold this morning when I went to
yeah,
pull my garbage pail in.
yeah,
They had a freeze warning.
yeah. So
Yeah.
So hey y'all, hi.
um,
I'm Regina
mhm.
Howard Norman, and I am the inspiration. No, Yahweh, God is my inspiration, but He inspired me for Regina's Baking Academy,
Mhm.
where I get to teach people how to cook and enjoy being in their own space. And for those who don't necessarily want their snacks and treats, they don't want to do it themselves, I take care of that too. But what I'm really grateful for, because we already had a conversation around the weather and stuff, Lord knows we're feeling it on the East Coast too, y'all. It's the same thing happened up here, minus the dusting. It's freezing. I was like, oh snap, what the fudge pickles?
Yeah.
So, what I'm grateful for are really great doctors
Mm.
Mm.
because for the last couple of weeks, I've been in very, very bad pain in my right knee. And
Mm,
it was a lesson I learned. I felt like I had a encounter with the Lord because He gave me a boat, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't like the size of the boat." So I went to the doctor. Long story short, he was able to do a procedure, but I was like, "No, I'll see for myself. I'll check it. I can do it." I got home and that was the not the smart move. Okay, so I called them a week and a half later to schedule an appointment. And I was like, "Ooh, Father, my knee was hurting so bad." So
wow.
I'm grateful for there are really great doctors out there, and everyone has a different way of being, but the one that I'm working with for us, my knee and everything happening, great professionalism. He talks to you, he listens to you, and really guides you through whatever it is that's going on. So I'm super grateful. Um, for doctors. I'm super grateful for really great ones and ones that know how to talk and treat the patients with respect. And so, and now I am not in any way have the level of pain that I had for like the last 2.5 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was a moment the Lord said, I gave you a boat. I don't know why you didn't get in. He could have did it. And so I was like, oh no, I'll do it. I can take care of it. And he
Hmm.
was like, okay, you can do it. I was like, week and a half later, I was like, oh, I need an appointment. I need an appointment. I don't want any
Exactly.
leave. I don't want anything. I just need this handle. But I'm really grateful for that. The pain that I experienced over the last 2 weeks, and that just sometimes we're stubborn.
Yeah,
It's okay to be old school. There's nothing wrong with holistic stuff. But God gave us doctors for a
for
reason.
a reason.
So you work with them, not against, but with. So I learned that lesson, and I'm happy now. I'm able to walk with minimum, discomfort. So yeah, I am happy, y'all. When you are in your right mind and your body's working with you, listen, y'all, that's everything. Okay,
Listen, that's half the battle.
that is definitely half the battle. So that's what I'm happy about, and that's what I'm grateful for.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to make it. I'm avoiding going to the orthopedic. The
Don't
no, what is
avoid it.
it? The podiatry, whatever they call it. Because for me, I'm like, I don't want him to say I can't work out.
Well, there's so many different
But
modified
yeah, exactly. But
ways.
that's in there. But actually,
Yeah.
my I have to admit, I used the deep blue on my Achilles because that's what's been like bothering me, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
This,
deep blue does help.
I was like, okay. So yeah, I got the
Yeah.
stick, but all right. So
Yeah.
welcome, welcome, welcome to the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. We are going to get into this topic. I kind of feel like it is an extension of last week's topic, Gina.
Hmm.
Finding your joy, because um, this week we're talking about boundaries, right? And honoring our boundaries, because it's one thing to have boundaries, it's another thing to honor our boundaries. And
Right.
I always hear people say, oh, so and so doesn't honor my boundaries, or we got to make sure people honor our boundaries. But I believe that we have to honor our boundaries, because if we
Right.
don't honor them, nobody else will. So um when I say boundaries, like, I think we all have done the work to try to establish boundaries and maintain boundaries, and sometimes we do it well, sometimes we don't. But what's one boundary that you changed or you put in place that has given you peace?
Oh, for me, it's becoming a Sabbath keeper
Oh, okay.
because most of my Christian life, and I'm still a Christian. People like, are you not Christian? Yes, I believe in the Lord. Don't get it twisted. But I'm more consistent with what the word says in Exodus. So he said, rest on the seventh day. I learned how to rest,
Mm-hmm.
and that happened. Now I've been in my church for over 30 plus years, and so after during the pandemic, because everything was shut down and there was concerns about the elders getting sick and whatnot. So our church stayed closed for a lot during the pandemic. And we did the virtual stuff and everything, but it was like, I felt something was missing. So anyway, once someone invited me into a study, and the gentleman that was speaking was really speaking from the Bible. Everything he said actually was regarding the first 5 books, which is in all of our Bibles. So when I started doing that, I had to establish that with my family, my friends that are used to like calling me up any time of day on Saturday or Friday. If I say, "Oh, you're not coming out," no, I'm not coming out because Sabbath fish from sundown to sundown, and they're like, "Well, what's that about? Are you Jewish or you what?" I said, "I'm a believer. I believe, but it's just I'm being obedient to what the word says." So, and it took a while for my children to accept the fact that they're like, "Mom, we're going to do this thing." I said, "Well, I could join you later, but I can't do it right now." Or even, sometimes my husband and I have discussions around that because it's an adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
But what I learned is, to your point, you were mentioning earlier, instead of me complaining about other people respecting my boundary, I first had to honor the boundary,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I said it's sundown to sundown, it's not that I can't go out or do anything. But like if there's a family gathering or something like that, if y'all want to do the thing on Saturday, well, I could join you afterwards, you know. Or if I can make residence somewhere, like if we're having an event and the family's getting together, well, I can make residence there as long as I do it before on Friday early, right? And so what I've learned to do over these last, well, going on 5 years now, I had to, I was happy with honoring it, but I had to understand that sometimes you got to explain a little bit, but more than explain, you got to do. So by me consistently honoring the Sabbath, by me consistently saying I got to get home, sundown, I'm not going out, I'm not trying to tip to the store to get a little extra something. So by people that are close to me seeing my consistency and that I'm serious about it, I've honored my Sabbath, and now most of my family does as well. They're like, "Oh, let me get you before, because I know I'm not going to hear from you until later on Saturday or Sunday." And I'm like, "Okay, cool, great," but it took a while for that to happen. Initially, they was like, "Oh, Mom, we've been going to church. You can, you can, you can do a little early. You can leave a little early." I'm like, "No."
But did you feel any guilt around, like, you know,
Um, I think, to be honest with you, I wished I had known this earlier. I wish I had saw what I saw earlier, because I mean, you figure, oh, I read the Bible, I study the books and all, but when you are not rushing through it, you take the time to really see and listen and then hear what you're reading. It's like, oh snap, and it was just something that just connected. I knew it was true. My pastor, he teaches from the Old and the New Testament, so
mm,
it wasn't like I wasn't familiar with the
yeah.
scriptures and such. I think that if I felt any guilt, it would have been, I wish I would have had this awakening or awareness when my children were home,
Mm,
because there would have been more time for us being together around the word. Because I love my church and I still go on Sunday. I don't not go, but when you in church, it's if you're serving on the ministry, you're doing that. You got praise and worship. If you're Sunday in Sunday school, we have Sunday school, right? So service actually starts after praise and worship, Old Testament, New Testament read, deacon says stuff, announcements are made, choir sings, back and forth. Y'all know how it is.
mm,
So then by the time you get to preach word, you may get 45 minutes if the preacher, and sometimes pastors be quick now. They be 30 minutes or less. They be out. I be like, oh dang, I was just getting good in the notes and it's over. But
yeah.
during Sabbath, all I do is study. All I do is focus on the first 5 books of the Bible, which is the Torah, right? And I
Mm,
get to read it and I get to take my time. I'm not rushing. I don't have to be upstairs. I'm not praying
mm,
this, that, and then we singing up, singing, get up, hey, and then it's like, okay, I get to focus and concentrate, and I'm learning what I'm seeing and I'm hearing because I say the words out loud. I'm like, it makes sense to me, but I just really didn't catch it when
Yeah.
I was younger or when I was raising,
Mm.
we're raising our children because we were doing everything, Girl Scout, Boy
Like
Scout,
that. Yeah.
all that. So no, I don't feel guilty. I
Okay.
think, I think initially, I think the biggest challenge was my husband and I because all the children are grown and gone. So
Yeah.
it's he and I now, right? So
Mhm.
I think if anything, it's not guilt, but wishing that I had done it sooner. So
Okay.
we could have found so now we're like finding the middle ground on how we could still do things together and stuff like that, and not feel like everything is restrictive because I don't feel it's restrictive, but that's
Mhm.
me, right? And when
Yeah.
you with someone, you can't be like, oh, yeah, and
Yeah.
not have dialogue and conversation about it. So the big thing about the boundary part is that when I like except before it's an emergency, like if God forbid something happened where my mom needs me,
Yeah.
somebody's sick, then that's different. That's an emergency. I'm go check on my mom,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. But if it's just somebody calling and say, "Girl, what you up to?" We can't chat right now, sugar. This ain't time for the chit chat. You gonna
Yeah.
read with me? You gonna study? But I don't feel guilty. I actually feel very satisfied that I'm growing and learning, and it's not for me to tell anybody what to do differently or not, but it's what's happening on the inside of me that
Yeah.
makes a difference. So I've had other people now. Good evening, but now I have people around me that respect it. Even my coworkers now, because they were trying to figure out, well, is she a Seventh Day Adventist? They was like, well, what is she?
Yeah.
You know, but they
Mhm.
respected my boundaries as well.
All right.
Yeah.
So what about you, Regina? Like what's one boundary that you established that gave you peace, like change, shifted?
Well, it's a boundary that I'm establishing now,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm telling, as you know, I am part of a liturgical dance group ministry, not group, but ministry.
Yes.
So I'm listening to my body,
Mm.
and I just had a conversation with one of my leaders, and I said I'm stepping back, um, because I'm honoring my body. I can no longer do the things that I used to do,
Yeah.
and that was a big step for me because I truly love it. But on the other hand, my body's saying you're not loving it. I mean, you're not that you're not loving it. You can no longer do it, but
Yeah.
I'm doing it in a different capacity, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're on that push. I can do it. I can do it. I'm superwoman,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm learning to accept where I am,
Yeah.
which is as you get older, you can't do things. Your mind tells you, but your body. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a big step
Yeah.
as we get even more seasoned.
Yeah.
And it's hard to adapt to that. But once you kind of, I'm not going to say give in, embrace it, it gives you
Mm-hmm.
much peace because you're embracing and you're actually taking care of your body. Because if
Yeah.
you do these things early when you're knowing instead of trying to push your body on, then you get to live longer, you have more peace, you
Mm-hmm.
have more energy because you're not pushing yourself to something that at right now that you can't do anyway.
Yeah. That makes sense. Like, and so like kitchen medicine cabinet is saying no and meaning it, right?
Hmm.
Allows her to always be available, right? It just
Hmm.
it's true. Like that is something that I had to really get clear on, and just learning how to do things differently. Thank you for subscribing, Kitchen Medicine Cabinet. We appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Um, yeah, you know, for me, right? I had to really get to the point of saying no, right? Like, cause you know, I got a lot of stuff going on, right? And so for me, you know, I love serving and you know, I realized at church, like, they're like, hey, you want to do this one? And recently I was asked to serve if I would consider serving on a ministry, and I was like, can't do it, right? Because I was like, I'm already the point of contact for this ministry. I'm working on this. I'm working on that. My outside stuff, you know, my business, my job, right? And so it really is critical to be able to do it without feeling guilty, right? I think that's the one thing that we, you know, sometimes struggle with, but I'm glad to hear that we're not struggling with that so much any longer, right? We really have, I think, done the work to be better.
It comes, you know, I mean, there are times when I had to make the adjustment, like, you know, as a Sabbath keeper. Because I was used to doing stuff at the church on Friday and Saturday. You know, they have different get-togethers or once a month for the Christian education, because I'm a Sunday school teacher. So we meet once a month, and I was like, well, I had to tell the superintendent I'm committed to still serving as a teacher, but I can't come on Saturday to the monthly meetings,
Yes.
which is really a chance for us to get together, talk about what we're learning and how is it going with our different students and such. So I missed the gathering part, but I know that what I'm getting by being home and honoring my boundaries is so fulfilling. But yeah, if you, I grew up with a lot of the people that are in my church. I've known them for, like I said, 30 years. So now it's like they're like, "Oh, baby, you not coming? No, I can't." You know, and it's like, you know, when they give you the baby and the stuff, and honey, especially when they're older, it's like,
Yeah.
and then I gotta say no. But one of the lessons I learned earlier on, um, from one of the church elders, her name is Ruby Williamson, and she told me in the beginning when my children were young, she said, "Let me tell you, your first ministry is your family." So it's a beautiful thing that you want to serve, and that's before I became a Sabbath keeper. But the principle was, I think, a lot of the same. It's beautiful that you want to serve, but your first ministry is your family. So you got to always make sure you take care of home. You can't be out here serving and doing everything else. And she would always ask me, because I served in a culinary ministry. Surprise, right? Serving culinary. So she would say, "Did you cook at home? Did you make sure your family has food at home?" Like, she was so great with that. She was teaching me that yes, you love serving, yes, you want to be there, but you have to honor what God gave you. He gave you a family and he gave you responsibility to take care of home.
Yeah.
Don't be so caught up. What they say, you so heavily bound, you know earthly good.
Yep.
Right? So she said that in the love that she said it to me in, was why I joined the culinary ministry in the first place. But what her thing was, don't stretch yourself too thin. Make sure home is always taken care of. And she would say, "Do you need anything to take home? Are you good? You know, after we cleaning them, after serving and all that." I'm like, "No, you know, we good." But she was helping me establish positive boundaries within church. Like, you can't do for so much, right? And they say usually the rule of thumb is like it's the 20% that does the most work, and the 80% kind of just enjoy the experience, right? So serving, I used to serve on 5 different ministries at the same 5.
And that leads to the burnout. But I also feel like I love your first ministry is your family, but I actually feel like now your first ministry is yourself, right? Because if
Mhm.
you're not taking care of you and putting yourself first, you're no good to anybody else. And I know one of the things I had to learn is to slow down and to be able to say, to recognize that when I said no, it wasn't really me saying I didn't care about somebody or I didn't want to help
Right.
somebody else, but it was really me showing myself love,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And it took me a while to get there because I went through that mode. I'm sure like a lot of people did, where you're trying to be everything to everybody and you're saying yes, 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 yes. And for me, I learned through my journey of coaching and stuff that a lot of my busyness was masking, just not feeling like for something I was missing, right? Trying to
Mhm.
make up for something. It was how I managed through being functionally depressed, which at the time I didn't know I was, you know
Right.
functionally depressed, that I had that diagnosis, right? And I'm sure there's a clinical term for it, but the layman's term is functionally depressed. And I didn't realize that me being busy, me saying yes to everything, me always going, it was really masking the fact that I was trying to compensate for the fact that I was in a little mode of depression, but I was functioning through it,
Right.
right? And so I think the key thing for me now is to know that when I am saying no or I am establishing a boundary, it's not because I'm masking,
Right.
this functional. It's because I now are like, okay, over here you can running this business, over here you got this full-time job, over here you're still trying to work out and be healthy, trying to get the proper amount of sleep, right?
Right.
There's all of these there's all of these competing priorities,
Yeah.
right? But we have to learn how to prioritize, because I think
That's the
that's
thing.
part of setting boundaries as well,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right?
The title of this is honoring boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
loving people without losing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is so important whether you have a family or you're single or you work in a large environment or you hybrid work from home or your
Mm-hmm.
business. Even in your business, you if you don't pull back to kind of take your own temperature to see where you are, what is it that you're committed to doing? Because sometimes we'll say yes to things,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you're in the process of honoring that yes, even in your business, you're like, but am I really doing? Is this where I'm supposed to be right now?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's important that we don't lose ourselves because once you get caught up in the title of what it is you're doing and what you're about, um, I learned that from being at a nonprofit for 11 years at Dreadful Success. And I was caught up in the vision and the mission of the organization. I still love it, respect it. I think it's one of the best out there for supporting women and families and such and building communities and everything. But what I realized is I was so caught up in doing, I was boom, going, and not so much to climb, for an
Mm-hmm.
executive position. I mean, that came with the intensity of really being committed to doing the work, right? And working with communities and partnerships and that sort of thing. But at one point I had to say, well, I'm putting out all this work. I'm my family needs me at home.
Mm-hmm.
I at one point it was all about the mission. It was all about the vision and the mission for this well deserving organization to have people that are that committed. But it was like, where was the time for Regina? Like,
Yeah.
you working in an organization that's about women for women, but then you burning yourself at both ends of the candle.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can lose yourself especially when you are so connected to what you're doing. And then it's like, but I'm also a wife, I'm a mother, right? I'm a daughter. So we have all these titles that we hold, and we can lose ourselves trying to figure out how to take care of the people we love and care about. And the one that we need to take care of is ourself.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, Regina is a prime example of all of the many things. She, the what? Cause the board you're on that the board where you mentor like young ladies, right? You know, you're retired, but you're booked and busy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know, grandma, right? Mom, you know. I mean, and I think that's one of the things, like one of the first questions I usually ask a client, and I say, don't answer me right away because you're gonna need time to think about it. But who are you? Not not title, not mother,
Right.
not wife, not executive, not like without any title, do you know who you are? Right? Because identity is key,
Yeah.
I think, to establishing and honoring boundaries. So, Regina, how do you honor your boundaries?
I have quiet time to myself. Believe it or not, I do. Um, I'm a very quiet person. You wouldn't really think it, but I am. I have time in the morning to myself.
Mhm.
And when I come home, I have time to myself. And that is how I honor myself. And I do things what I want to do for myself, such as traveling. That is my big sign for
Mhm.
myself. However, I'm going to have to change it a little bit this coming year for various reasons.
Mhm.
Um, I just need to adjust as I have time to think and be in myself. I just need to do some things. So I have to adjust my traveling to maybe weekend travelings or maybe not traveling for a while.
Mhm.
But it's okay because I know at the end there's something for it's for a reason, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I do, and it's funny. A friend of mine was like, "You don't do some of the things that you used to do. I noticed that you sit back." I say, "I do." I'm glad you noticed because like you always on the move, but you don't. Like I don't go. I don't social. I do the things that I had committed myself to, but along
Mhm.
with that, I was always out and about. I'm not out and about anymore because now the out and about took away from time for me.
Yeah.
Out and about was not necessary.
I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things I
Hmm.
learned is we wear many hats. That is
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. But I love this that at Kitchen Medicine Cabinet said, right?
Hmm.
Honoring yourself by being very clear, right? And
Hmm.
articulating what you're feeling with everyone. And
Hmm.
and that has really worked for me because I used to be the person who was everything is good, everybody
Right.
call me, right? You know, and I'm listening to everybody, I'm being everything, right? And I really got to the point where now if someone calls me, I'll say, if I answer the phone, you know what, today's not a good day for me, right? I
Right.
can't really manage this, right? But I will say one of my really good friends, I met her in grad school, and this was probably back in what 2000. So before cell phones had all these fancy little things on it, like do not
Right.
disturb. And I remember that with this particular friend, you knew, she told you, do not call me after XYZ time. I think it was 9:30, 10, because I'm getting like I'm winding down for the night and preparing for bed, right? Like, and I was like, oh wow, like, you know, like I think she really was the one that, and even then I wasn't in this mode of setting boundaries because I was, like I said, unknowingly managing
Right.
functional depression. But I remember that she was really good at establishing certain things. So now for me, in this new age of smartphones, my phone goes on do not disturb at like 9 p.m. at night. right? And it doesn't come off until 9 in the morning, right? So during that time, there's probably 2 people that can get through because I don't have them blocked by that do not disturb. But other than that, I might get a text, but I'm not going to hear the ding. I might get a call, I'm going to go straight to voicemail, right? Because that's the time that I honor for myself. I also now, I have a couple of friends that know because of everything I have going on, they will text me to be like, hey, are you available to speak? Are you available to chat? When you have time, right? And so I think for me, that was important because I will say, I think there was a time where, you know, it was hard for me to, like, I felt like I was disappointing people, right? If I was saying I couldn't do something or, you know, I wasn't available, right? But then I was like, the people that love you and know you, right? Like at Kitchen Medicine Cabinet said, your tribe is going to understand.
Absolutely.
And they're gonna respect your boundaries. But like we're talking about tonight, it's really about how we honor our own boundaries, right?
Yes.
That you put in place to make sure that you're honoring your boundaries. So if you're just tuning in to the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network, we are talking about honoring your boundaries and what that looks like for you to honor your boundaries, but still know that you can love the people that are in your life without losing yourself. Because I think one of the things that's important and why we're talking about this is because so many of us lose ourselves because we're so busy trying to be everything to everybody, wearing the many hats. Like you know, at Kitchen Medicine Cabinet said, right? We all wear so many hats that at some point you have to take a step back and be like, if I don't take control of it, I'm never going to do anything that I want to do for myself.
Right.
But those hats start falling off real quick.
Oh, Nikki. Okay. Nice to meet you, Nikki. Yeah. So, I mean, and it's true. Like I think you have to really decide, like, okay, when am I going to wear this hat? When am I, like, there's nothing to me to say, I can't do that right now. Or like you said, the amazing thing to me though is I feel like most of us, well, I'm an ambivert, right? So I am naturally introverted, but because of the work I do, I can be extroverted. But when I'm in the position where I have to be around people for a long period of time, I need time to regroup. So I have to like just chill away from people, right? But like Regina said, like she's quiet, right? And it's amazing to me how for the most part, I think most of us, I don't know about you, Gina, are introverts naturally, right? With the ability to be extroverted, right? So which is, they say an ambivert. I just learned that recently, a couple of, I think earlier in the year. I was like, oh, is that what I am, right? But I think there's something to
you know, right, because for me, I don't know if I'm actually an introverted person. In a way I am, but there are people that just have to be talking all the time, just talking and saying nothing, like
exactly.
And so even in the board meetings, a lot of the other sisters on the board, like when I came on the board, I think they weren't really clear. They were like kind of didn't know if I was going to be, they didn't know me. One of the ladies said, oh my God, you have so much information. She says, like they would say something and it would be just going around the room and I'll just make one sentence and I will make sense out of it. So my president says to me, you're the logical one. I just can't stand all this talking. You just can't. And then, you know, unfortunately, one of the sisters, she's one to talk. What are you talking about? Like, it's not making any sense. Let's just get to, and that's like, I just don't talk.
Good night, Nikki.
just to be talking, and so you just hear yourself talking. So and it labels you as a quiet person, or you don't know, or you don't say much, and people don't know how to take you. But just to sit around and talk, just to be talking and to hear yourself talk, but you're not making any sense out of what you're saying, or you're not making any moves, or you're, so that's
that I can relate, because I am that person. Like, I really like it. It really has to be something I'm passionate about. Or if I'm at work, it's like I'm taking it all in, but in a millisecond, I can condense it in my mind,
right,
and then just be like, right? Like you said, 1 or 2 sentences, and the conversation is done.
Right. We go in this big circle, and unfortunately, there's this. I don't know if it's unfortunate, but this guy, like a woman, nice guy, but he keeps going on and on and on. And I was looking at him like, dude, like you.
But yeah, I mean, like people who like, it's like they need to be heard. Right.
And he's minding other people's business. Like, for instance, he bought a house in a new neighborhood, and he said his next door neighbor, I don't know, what do you call it, the HOA? Apparently the guy has 2 or 3 cars in their driveway. You just moved in the neighborhood. Now he didn't call the HOA. He's going to get the lawyers on him. He's going to do this. You just moved here. The man.
But did you even read the bylaws? Because in my neighborhood, as if you can have as many cars as you want in the driveway, as long as they're not blocking the part where people are.
He went into saying the man was changing license plates and taking his license plates off and putting it on.
My God.
Like, you minded, like, you right in a man's business like that. Like, come on. Like, and he goes around and tells all of us. And so I just looked, I said, how do you know what that guy is going through? And furthermore, it's not none of your business. Like, is he bothering you? And you just moved here. So today he came over, he told us, I called and they haven't responded to me. So now I'm going to get on the board or something. He's going to get on and he's going to be on legal action. I said, they're going to boot you out the neighborhood, bro.
You're going to become the person in the neighborhood that everybody avoid. Like,
that's what I mean. And it's three women, and we were all looking. So one of the teachers he talks to, and she was sitting across from me where the kids were eating breakfast, and I was sitting there going, I looked up, I'm like, really? So the other 2 of us, when he walked away, she looked at us, she goes, I just kind of like be nice to him. I said, well, I spoke my mind, because he just wasn't making any sense. I was sick of him telling the same story over and over. I like drop it, stop talk, like, don't do it.
but that is a form of setting a boundary that doesn't even need to be announced, right? It's establishing, right, how you engage with people. Right.
And I think that's really important at work, because we don't have to have the water cooler to have water cooler conversation. Which is a time stealer. Right, because instead of doing the job that you're there to do, and
that's kind of our peacetime. Like, the kids are eating, and we're all like in our own little doing whatever. Here you come up with all this nonsense.
So it does impact productivity. I think, especially at work, the boundaries are important, because you could be long in the teeth about something that has already happened. It's either been resolved or it's not in your area to have to worry about, and you're continually having this conversation. So that takes away time. If someone wants to talk to you about something, you have to, like, look busy, like Jesus is coming.
We were. I mean, he talking to the other.
But that's at lunchtime.
But she lets him come into her space. And
okay,
it wasn't us, but we were just sitting there. We could hear him, because
I
just looked up to try to stop it. I'm like, really? And I just.
But I will tell you, from an HR standpoint, why I believe boundaries are important. Because if not, you'll end up in my office. Because what happens is, everyone believes that they have formed a friendship, and they start sharing their personal business, or they start telling people what they're doing, and then something goes down, and now you're in my office because you want to complain that so-and-so said this, or so-and-so doesn't like me, or so-and-so did whatever. And I'm like, didn't I tell y'all in orientation that I just want y'all to come to work, say good morning, work, and go home? But really and truly, I think why boundaries are so important at work is because people will form friendships really, like I have seen it. People spend 5 days in orientation. By the end of the orientation, they're the best of friends. They don't exchange numbers. They're sharing all their business. The first time something goes down. So I will tell you the boundary that I established as an HR professional with employees is this. My door is always open for you to come and discuss any issue with me. But if you are coming to me to tell me what someone else did, y'all need to come together. Because I don't do you come and tell me your side and they come and tell me their side. So at some point, we're going to have to get together, and I'm happy to mediate a conversation, but I don't do the back and forth. I've never done that in my personal life, and I don't do it in the workplace. Because as far as I'm concerned, we are all adults. And the best way to work out any situation is to establish I call it establishing the rules of engagement.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've established that with I've mediated conversations between employees where I'm like, okay, we're gonna literally sit here and you guys are gonna establish the rules of engagement. How will you work together? Right? If you guys are disagreeing about something, y'all, do you want to have a safe word? Do you want to agree that you're gonna maybe walk away and cool down for a minute and come back, right? So I think that's important in personal and business relationships, is to establish the rules of engagement. Because I was recently talking about this with another friend. We were talking about effective communication, right? I was like, effective communication means that we may not always agree because we may have different perspectives. But when we walk away from whatever that conversation was, we both feel like we were heard.
Yeah.
Right. And that means we might walk away with two different perspectives of what went down. But at the end of the day, we don't walk away still angry, or we don't walk away without a resolution. The resolution might be, we still have a different thought about this, but we are able to work it out and still move forward, right? And so many people, I think, because you don't establish those boundaries of how you're going to communicate with people, how you're going to resolve situations, right? You end up in these situations where there's this fallout. Especially when we make up the story in our head, right? Where we decided that the person is mad at us for whatever thing we came up with in our head. And in all reality, if we just say, hey, things seem a little off, what's going on?
Right. You either address it or leave it alone. Don't make it up in your head. I mean, either, one of the three. I mean, well, don't make it up in your head, but either you're going to address the person, or you're just going to walk away. However, sometimes, you have stuff just taking their space in your head, and it shouldn't,
Right.
Man, I used to be the queen of that, man. I could make a whole novel up in my head. Like, by the time I was done, oh my God, so-and-so had to call me. It's been X amount of time.
Right.
I'm thinking, the last time we talked, what did I say? What was our conversation? Like, did I say something to offend them? Maybe right? Like, and then the next thing you know, when the person you finally speak to the person, which is like, oh, I've been busy.
Right.
Right. Like, you over here fretting about what might have went wrong, right? So, but I think I do think that there is something to honoring boundaries. I feel like the better I get at honoring my boundaries, the more peace I have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And part of that is recognizing that when we say no, the person we're saying no to is not necessarily offended or upset.
Right. Right.
Right. And once you get to that point of recognizing that, and even if they are, they're gonna get over it.
For sure.
And if they don't get over it,
they'll still get over it.
I don't know what to tell you, but I think it's something. So I think at the point that I really got comfortable with, like, I don't want to do it, and you know what? I'm not really even going to tell them why. I just don't want to do it. Right? Can you make such and such? Nope, I can't. I'm not available.
Right.
Right. No long song and dance as to what I got to do or why I got to do it or whatever. Nope. You want to do XYZ? Nope. Right. And it is something that is so, for me, freeing when you get to that point. Like for me, being at home by myself doing nothing, I don't feel a way about it. I don't feel like, oh, you could have went to that thing. Yeah, I could have, but I didn't want to, so I'm here.
Right.
Right.
And I don't have to explain that to anybody.
Right. I think also when we think about boundaries and not losing ourselves, it's super important to know that there's going to be different circles we're in, you know, the friends, the family, the workplace. And you said something earlier in regards to what you would tell your employees, which is, you know, y'all are not friends. And I think to your point, you know, you may work in similar departments and you know you're dealing with similar situations, so it's easy to form those bonds. But what happens is that's a quick fast thing, and then as you get to know the person, you know, hopefully you pick up on their confidence if that's somebody that you even want to deal with outside of the office, right? Because you got folks that are great. Yeah, I go to work and they're great co-workers, but you're not trying to establish anything too much after that. But I think it's also, I think there's lessons, and some lessons are repeated just to make sure you got the lesson the first time around, especially when it comes to protecting your space, protecting your peace, and honoring your boundaries.
Yeah.
Sometimes you will be given a situation and you feel like this is eerily similar to something that happened a few months ago, and it's like you got to go through that process of, why does this feel familiar? Why is there something about this that just feels like I did this before? When you're practicing your boundaries, you have to, like you said earlier, Theo, and we said, you have to remember to honor them first yourself. Because you can get mad at someone else for not honoring your boundaries, like calling you when you in study or you know, you go to bed at 9 o'clock and they're calling you at 9:30 when you about to get into your REM sleep, right? So, but then those are the conversations where you say, you know what, I'm not going to get uptight with them just yet because they're disrespecting my boundaries. Maybe I haven't been clear that this for me is a hard pass. Like, I'm not going past this line. So I don't need you to go past this line, because then I don't want to have to explain that to you. Right.
Or maybe you gotta maybe you gotta not put your phone next to your bed, or maybe you gotta turn your phone off, or maybe you gotta do whatever you have to do. But like with the whole thing, friends at work, I will tell you, I have friends that I worked with, right?
Right.
But most of those friends, which is funny, we talk about it, is when we first met, it was like, whatever, right? Like, you know, but we became friends, right? Because we had similar personalities. It wasn't like we were against being friends, but I'm not going to meet you on Tuesday and you my friend by Friday and I'm telling you all my business, right? That's the type of stuff I would just like, we ain't doing that. But over time, the longer you work with somebody, it's natural that you're going to form one or two friendships, right? There are some people I know that have never formed a friendship with anybody because they're like, work
Wow.
is work, and it's like separation of church and state, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that it's so important to honor boundaries by establishing, because you get to control certain things. You get
Yes,
to
you do.
control, like with me, I get to control like the people that are on silent. Like the number of group texts that I have, if I didn't put them on silence all day long, my phone would be going off. Because all day long, some of my friends are. Some days I'm like, do you guys work? Because I will pick up my phone that has been silenced and have 30 text messages, right? Because in the group chat, they've been like all over the place, right? And so it's important to say, okay, how do I manage this? I put it on silent, right? So that they're muted, so that the text messages are coming in, but I'm not hearing it, so I'm not inclined to pick up the phone and stop doing what I'm doing. At work, honestly, my first thing is, can I control this? I can't control this situation. I'm not going to let it disturb my peace. I'm not going to let it get me upset. What y'all need me to do? Okay, I'm going to do it. Too many of us get so upset about stuff at work that we have no control over. Establish the boundary of, you know what? This ain't my company.
That's, oh my gosh.
Mhm.
I think if you didn't drop any jewel tonight,
Right?
that you dropped a few, but that one is huge. When
This
you are working
Not my company.
in a company, you are an employee, and most companies have an at-will policy.
Yeah.
So do not go in there thinking that you thought this song was about you, because it's not.
Exactly.
Right? We're there to do a job. We're provided we agree to a price point for the service we provide.
Yeah.
At any given time when you get frustrated, which happens, but if you get to the point where that's one of your primary things, you're frustrated, dissatisfied,
Mhm.
well, you need to change the scenery, because if you don't change your scenery, they're going to change it for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
boundary for me is, I'm not going to carry this home. I used to come home and because I was so committed to thinking about the women and the different programs and how we could do this, but I need to be present where I am, so that I can be responsible and loving to my family and deal with the stuff that you deal with when you have more than one person that you come home to. You got
Yeah.
responsibilities. I can't bring the job home.
Yeah.
They're not, and then the people that you doing all this for. Let me tell you something, sugar.
They
Let me
don't
tell
think
y'all.
about you.
I'm gonna tell you this real quick. This is a real secret. Like, don't tell nobody. But when they say it's over at the job, no matter how nice they say it, if you not the one leaving out the door, it's still over.
Mm-hmm.
So you put in all that effort, all that work, and that's fine. Hopefully you learned some things, you grew and you gave and all of that. But you got family and people that care about you, and they looking at you like, what the fudge? Like, after all that and everybody upset for you and stuff, but you knew you shouldn't have been there after the time that you were supposed to be there. But you giving it your all, you not honoring your boundaries, you doing all this, you being, Shaka Khan and Whitney Houston at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm every woman, right?
Yeah.
But no, you're not. So
You
find out who you are.
working on vacation.
That question that you said, like, who are you outside of this company?
Exactly. But
What are you?
But that's a necessary boundary, and we're at the top of the hour, so I know
Yeah.
we had to wrap up. But that's a necessary boundary. I had to learn that, like,
Yeah.
to
I
be
did too.
to be off when I was off. Like now,
Yeah.
it's no problem. But I had to learn, like when I was, especially when I got to that executive level, like when I would go on vacation, I had to set a boundary where I would check my email in the morning, and then I would check it in the evening. But the rest of the time I was on vacation, like I was not going to be on my phone. And I literally would take the email off my phone while I
Okay.
was on vacation so that they wouldn't pop up, or I would mute the notification, right?
Gotcha.
Because here's the thing, we put in so much time, we spend so much energy, and like you just said, on the day that they decide they need to make cuts, all of the loyalty, all of the time, all of the stuff you put in, they're gonna say thank you very much. They may or may not give you a severance package,
Mm-hmm.
and they're gonna say goodbye, right? And
And
so
those freaking flyer points are not transferable, honey.
exactly. So there is something about honoring your boundaries in every space,
Yeah.
personal, professional. Your if we're believers, so this is for us. If you're not a believer, you can figure out how this last one I'm going to say fits for you. But even in the place of worship, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Those are, I think, three critical places where you need to establish
Yeah.
boundaries, right?
For
But
sure.
as we get to wrap up, right? I'm gonna say a statement, and then I want you to finish it. My peace is worth protecting when.
All the time.
That's what I was gonna say. All the time.
Yeah, I got nothing else. All the time.
It's so funny because I think, right, and it's gonna be a whole nother show, right? I know there's probably a time when none of us would have said all the time,
Right.
right? Like we literally would have been like, my people is worth protecting when such and such and such, right? But but in all realness, there's no right answer, but the right answer for us is worth protecting all the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I'm at a point in my life where peace is a priority.
Yes. And I'm gonna just say this, that I'm gonna land the plane or the train or whatever vehicle I'm using right now. Um, when we're younger and whether we're pursuing our career or we're in relationships, whether it's in and out our fellowships or family things, it's a different energy. It's a different level of wanting to be there for people and wanting to serve and help, or you climbing, so you engaging, you're dealing with different people, so you take on certain things. As you get older, right? Depending on your personality, all of this is individually based. I'm just saying, generically speaking, as you get older, you get to realize that some of the stuff that you thought was so important as it relates to you and the quality of your life and the people you care about, you're like, I that was not the best thing. That wasn't the best move, or me dealing with that wasn't the best thing. And so you make different choices. The beauty of going through the things that we've experienced, and they haven't all been bad, they've been growth. Everything is growth. But what it teaches us is where we are now. We
Mm-hmm.
are definitely more confident in why we say yes and why we say no. And
Mm-hmm.
our yays are yays and our nays are nays.
Mm-hmm.
Period. As the kids, as the young folks. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pookie out. I'm sorry.
Regina?
Oh, I thought I thought Gina was taking.
Well,
Look, look,
if you have
look,
something,
look what she said.
but you know what? The one thing I will say is for those of us, I'm a Gen Xer, right? So I think you guys are Gen X too. But I would say
Not
for those
me.
of us who are, we have lived this life, we have learned some
Mhm.
lessons, and we have gotten to this point. I'm learning from what I guess they're millennials or Z's. I don't know what they are, right? But I'm learning from the younger generation.
Oh yeah.
I'm learning from this generation that doesn't have a problem saying,
Mhm.
I'm taking vacation.
Oh, for sure.
Or I'm not feeling good today. I'm taking off,
Right.
right?
Right.
I'm learning from them to now some of the ways they do it
Right.
might not always be the right way, but I am learning from them that, hey, I in my mind, I'm like, I wish I honored my boundaries the way they honor their boundaries
Yes.
at the
Mhm.
age that they are at, right? Because it took us a little trying and going through some stuff to realize that, hey, you are just as important as the next person, right? Like, I think my final word would be that it is still possible to love your family, to love your friends, to, go and be a great employee and all of that other good stuff, right? And put yourself first,
Mhm.
right? I think that would be my final thing, is to say you can still love people and be there for people and do a great job, but
Yeah.
not at the expense of you,
Mhm.
Yes. Agreed.
right?
Absolutely. I
And
was.
so that would be
Mhm.
my final
Mhm.
statement tonight. And so if you were here, we thank you. We thank Nikki for joining us tonight
Mhm.
and liking and subscribing to
Thank you, Nikki.
the New You
Yes,
Nation
thank
Network,
you.
because we are here every Monday night at 8
Mhm.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have a lot of other shows on this network that are just as enriching and fulfilling. And also, it is time for us to say goodnight. And
Mhm.
so thank you for joining us. We'll be here again next time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday evening. And we hope to see you then. Have a great night.
All right. Good night.
Good night, y'all.